here. Welcome back. Today's project is my mission inspiration for February. This is part of a group on Facebook called Mission Inspiration, and I will include the link to the Facebook group in the comments below, in the description below. And we received our prompts, and I will put the prompts up here. These were a little bit tougher this month than last month, and they were set down by guest mission controller Stephen Bland. Stephen Bland does have a website, which I will link below, which is blanddesigns.com, and I will also link his YouTube. So this has a steampunk feel to it. He intended it, I'm pretty sure, to be that way. And this is the journal page that I just finished up. I was very happy with it, but I will admit right now that I took some artistic license in it. I am new at this, so I felt that I was allowed to have some leeway. If not, I'm sorry. I did not do the prompts in the order in which they were laid out like I did last month. I added a couple things, and I did move the prompts around and did a little bit of my own interpretation. I knew how I wanted this page to turn out, and if I had done it, the prompts the way they were laid out, it would have never gotten to the end result that I wanted, that I am thrilled with. I am absolutely thrilled with this page. I couldn't be any happier with it. So just keeping that in mind, I'm going to switch to my overhead camera and show you the process on how I came up with this journal page. Today I'll be working in my 9x6 Mission Inspiration journal made out of the Canson water paper. I'm really liking the texture of this and the weight of this, and this is what I've decided to use for this particular journal. I'm using the Mission Inspiration prompts set down by guest mission controller Stephen Bland of blanddesigns.com. I will take some artistic license in this, in that I will not be doing them in order, and I will be throwing in a few extra things. I'm new at this, so I have to kind of learn as I go, and in this case I think that's the best, is for me to just go with what I feel I need to do and not stress too much on it. So the first prompt I'm going to do is cover with tissue paper. I've got this plain white tissue paper, which I'm going to put on with my Daler Rowney Simply Acrylic Matte Medium. In this, usually I worry about the wrinkles and obsess on the wrinkles. In this particular case, I'm not going to, because the wrinkles are going to add the textures that I want for the look I'm trying to achieve. So if I have wrinkles, it's no big deal. In fact, they are preferred. Need to try and make sure I get all the corners down good. The corners are usually the ones that I have the most trouble with. The edges and the corners. I've seen other people do this and they make it look so easy and so quick. Not for me. There's always an issue of some sort. But I just go with it. Eventually it will get there, and it will get onto the paper. I just have to practice patience with it. Didn't quite get as many wrinkles as I thought I would, but that's okay. I've got some. And that's really all that matters. Now I'm going to hit this with my heat gun, check my edges, and then I will be back. So that's my first prompt finished. Add tissue paper. So the next one is where I start to go a little bit off prompts. I have two focal points, main focal points. One is a set of cogs and one is a picture. But for my set of cogs to work the way I want, I have to put them on now, not later in the process. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to position them onto my page and get them put down. I think I'm going to centralize them because I'm going to have some. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put down my gesso through a stencil. My texture paste through a stencil. Now it's supposed to be a tinted texture paste. So again, I'm going to do something a little bit different here. I'm going to tint mine with dried tea because I'm wanting the rough texture for my stenciling for what I'm trying to achieve here, and the tea will afford me that ability. So I'm going to work that into the texture paste really well. And it does give it a slight color, so it is tinting it. But once I get done, you're not going to be able to see. Once I do what I need to do, you're not going to see what it is that it's tinted at all. You're just going to see the texture. Again, I'm taking artistic license on this. I know how I want this to turn out, and so that's why I'm doing it in the manner in which I am. A little bit of this on here. I'm putting it on pretty thick because it is a thick consistency, and to achieve what I'm trying to do, that's what I'm going to have to do, is put it on really thick. Of course, that is going to make it take longer to dry, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. And that's good. So I'm going to go wash this and everything before it gets hard, and I will be right back. So that's done. I hit it with the heat gun. I think it's dry enough to progress. At least I hope so. So I'm going to go ahead and put on my cogs that I initially had thought I wanted to put on. But I'm going to go ahead and do them now. I think I'm going to put them just like that. So I'm going to go with my first instinct on this. Usually I agonize over it, but so I'm going to go ahead and glue those down. Now I have two of these. They're the heads off of Brad's. I cut the prong parts off. I want to use them. And I think I'll place one there and maybe one here. So it'll just add some depth to my background elements here. Plus, I really like how they look in the centers of these die cuts. Well, didn't put enough glue down in that one. Okay. Now we'll have to let those set for about half an hour. Let everything take hold before I move on to my next step. So I think I've let that set long enough to move on to the next step, which is, again, I'm taking some artistic license and I'm going to paint the entire page in black gesso. And because this is a boring part of it for you to watch, I'll start and then I will cut away and come back when it's finished. So there's that step completed. Now we do have a prompt for add a metallic, and that was later in the thing and later in the list. But again, I'm going to take some artistic license here and I'm going to add the metallic earlier on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my folk art solid bronze and I'm going to dry brush it over my elements to make them stand out more. So, in this, as always in dry brushing, less is more. So you just get a little bit on your brush and then you just brush it across your area you want the color. And this is all just personal preference as far as how much you put on and how dark you make it. And since I've already started this and shown you exactly how I'm doing this, dry brushing it on, I will come back when I get it done and get it dried. Okay, and so there's my metallic dry brushed on, and now you can understand why I didn't care if I had any wrinkles in the tissue paper, because it just added to the overall look of the piece itself. Now the next prompt was to spray or spritz with color or ink. I don't have anything like that, so I think what I'm going to opt to do is to splatter, and I'm going to splatter with the three colors that we were told to use in the prompts, which were brown, orange, and red. So I am using, my first one I will use will be the red, and I'm using Folk Art Red Apple. I'm going to put just a little bit on here. I'm not going to go crazy with the splattering. I'm just going to try and keep it to where I can actually see that I have any color. That's the plan, so we will see. So I'm loading it up onto my fan brush, keeping it thin like an ink consistency, and then I will splatter. I didn't get it quite thin enough. Let's try that again. There we go. And there's the red. And then the next one will be Craft Smart Burnt Orange. And this one I'll have to put out onto my craft mat. Just a drop with some water. Bring my fan brush back in here. Mix it around real good. And proceed to splatter. Okay, that's the orange. And in this way I also am using all of the color prompts that were required. I think that red has stained my fan brush, but that's okay. Not going to hurt anything, it still works. Drop of brown and a little bit of water. Mix that up into an inky consistency, and then splatter. Okay, and so there's that prompt. And I use my colors in the meantime. Couple wet wipes here and clean up and dry this, and then I will be back. So there's that prompt done, the splatters. As you can see, they showed up really well. So now we had a prompt of string, coloring string. So what I'm going to use, if I can find what I did with it, because I had it here a minute ago. There it is. I'm going to take some embroidery floss. We'll set this to the side. And I'm going to use my metallic colored solid bronze. And I'm going to hit and miss color it like this. Apply it with my finger. Now, before I attach my string, I'm going to go ahead and put my border on. Really, technically, that was supposed to be the last step, but it's just going to be easier to do it now than to wait until I put my string on. Just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to do it now. So I'm going to clean up my fingers and get that dried, and then I'll be back. So that's all dry around the edge. Now the next step will be to put my string around it. So for that, I'm going to pull out my trusty Scotch tape. I'm going to flip it over. Scotch tape one end here. Let's see, we'll put it about right. Let me see. Right there's good. Scotch tape that piece down, that end. Then proceed to wrap it around in a haphazard manner. Now, continue wrapping it in a haphazard manner. Take this end, make sure it's not pulled too tight. Back here. I'm going to double tape it just to make sure it doesn't come loose on me. Okay. Spread it out just the least little bit. Okay. So there's that prompt, the string. Okay, now for my next prompt, it's my focal image and my quote. So, for my quote, I need to put one word over here, which I am going to stamp onto this paper, the one word. And this is just going to be a process of stamping. So I will do this, and then I will come back with the next step. I got my quote stamped out on just regular white cardstock. I used these small Studio G alphabet stamp sets that I got at, I want to say Michael's. They are very versatile. I love them. And then for the first word that I'm putting onto the string, I stamped them, and then I punched them out with my, I think it's 3/4 inch or 1/2 inch punch. I cannot tell you where I got this from. It doesn't even have a brand name on it. So I must have picked it up somewhere real cheap. I went ahead and I inked around the edges with my Ranger archival ink in coffee, just so that it would give it the hole that I'm looking for. And I'm going to go ahead and ink around the edges of my focal point, just so those white edges will not show and look unsightly. Not really wanting the image to be too very inked. Slightly is enough, but not a whole lot. Like I said, I'm just going for getting rid of the white edges so that it doesn't just blare at me. Okay, that's done. So now all that's left is to put my quote and my focal point on. So I'm going to go ahead and put my focal point here, right about there. Yeah. Maybe here so it won't cover up. My quote is, "Explore your inner geek," which I try to do often and allow my geek to express itself. And over here is where I'm going to put the word explore. So let's get this laid out so I don't mess it up. Okay, so let's get explore put down here. Let me get my tweezers out of here, because I know I'm going to be all thumbs and fingers as usual. Well, I thought they were in here. I may not have them to use. There they are. Okay, so the first word we will put here. Right there. Get it to stay on the string will be the problem. Then the next letter will be this one, will be the X. I am putting this down with Aleene's Turbo Tacky Glue. Just a basic PVA glue. You don't have to use Aleene's. That's my personal choice, so that's what I use. And I'm putting quite a bit on it so that hopefully it will hold. Let's move over here and put these words down here. Well, I better put my focal image down first, so let's go ahead and get that down. Bit of glue drip over there. Set that on there for a few minutes while I get these put down. Getting them straight will be the issue for me. Oh, that one needs to be off there. Your goes first. See, that's what I get for not laying them out. Almost had a major boo-boo there. That wasn't an oops moment. That was a boo-boo moment. think I want to put a little bit there underneath that, underneath the feather. Try and see if I can get some of that to stay down. I doubt I'll be able to, but we'll see. And a little bit underneath the edges of the hat, which will be much easier to get to stay down than the feather, because the feather's having to go over top of texture. Just don't want it coming off on me. If all else fails, apply it with your finger. That's my philosophy. And that is it. I'm going to call it done. I'm very, very happy with it. It turned out just as I had planned and had hoped. And I'm going to call it finished. So another successful entry into my Mission Inspiration art journal. Like I said, I was very tickled with the outcome of this one, and the steampunk seems to be something that I really enjoy doing at the moment. I do take spells of where I go from one thing to another. Right now, evidently, it's the steampunk, and I can see me doing several different projects in that. So I appreciate you watching the video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. And when you do, click the little bell icon next to the subscribe so you'll be notified of all my future video uploads. Also, if you have a moment, please like this video and share it with your friends. Until the next time we meet, stay crafty, stay healthy, stay safe. Bye.